Get your daily news fix with News Source Scrawler's latest edition. January 17th, 2025, featuring crypto, politics, tech, and more. The Associated Press is providing a real-time information feed to improve the results shown in the Gemini app. LinkedIn is introducing complementary AI tools for both job seekers and recruiters. In the United States, OpenAI will financially support the establishment of 4 new Axios local newsrooms.
U.S. FTC takes legal action against Deere for limiting equipment repair options. Gallup finds that Americans incorporate AI into daily products without being aware of it. A humanoid robot acquires the ability to waltz by imitating human movements.
China's regional authorities increase minimum wages to stimulate spending. Hindenburg Research, the contentious short-selling firm that focused on Adani, experiences a collapse. Profits at U.S. banks grow as Wall Street anticipates a surge in mergers.
The United States has introduced new regulations to limit the export of sophisticated semiconductor chips to China. Additionally, the Netherlands has agreed to comply with U.S. export restrictions on certain ASML chip manufacturing tools. Furthermore, the U.S. is implementing new export controls on biotechnology equipment due to concerns about China.
Microsoft will cease support for Office applications on Windows 10 as of October 14th. The individual behind Gas and TBH has developed an application for vanishing photos through iMessage. It is said that Nintendo had to overhaul the entire game to release Animal Crossing in the Western market. Google informs EU that fact-checking is not suitable, declining to implement fact checks despite new EU regulation. The FBI disbanded its DEI office in December, according to the agency. MIT discontinued its internal grant database after it was utilized to investigate the school's relationships with Israel. Aramco Ma'aden JV plans lithium mining in Saudi Arabia, with Aramco's lithium project showing promise, but not yet operational, according to the minister. In the U.S., Hino, Toyota's truck division, is set to pay $1.6 billion due to an emissions scandal. Additionally, the burning of Teslas contributes to a toxic pollution mix, delaying the return to Los Angeles.
Survey reports that more than half of Netflix, Disney+, Max subscribers don't see advertising. Conan O'Brien to receive Mark Twain Prize for American Humor. Regal Cineworld Inc.'s deal with Barco to bring 4,000 new laser projectors to cinemas by 2030. Drake has filed a lawsuit against his record label, claiming that Kendrick Lamar's song, Not Like Us, contains defamatory content. Meanwhile, Temasek is reportedly considering Blackstone's $4 billion sale of Bob Dylan and Adele's song rights. Additionally, Telegram has closed channels associated with Z Library and Anna's Archive due to copyright infringement issues. U.S. TikTok refugees migrate to another Chinese app as ban looms, and goodbye to my Chinese spy might be the last great TikTok trend. Semaphore comments as, TikTok crisis builds unlikely cyberspace bridge between U.S. and China. Biden administration looks for ways to keep TikTok available in the U.S., and Trump considers suspending TikTok ban enforcement for 60 to 90 days, Washington Post reports. Douyin cracks down on fake foreign accounts amid wave of TikTok refugees, and Duolingo sees 216% spike in U.S. users learning Chinese amid TikTok ban and move to Red Note.
In the United States, the FDA plans to withdraw approval for Red number 3 in food and ingested medications. Research indicates that intermittent fasting offers 2 significant advantages for individuals with obesity. A targeted mRNA therapy addresses a fatal pregnancy condition in mice, utilizing a lipid nanoparticle to deliver an mRNA solution for preeclampsia.
UK leader Starmer signs 100-year partnership agreement with Ukraine during trip to Kiev, and Keir Starmer says UK will play full part in guaranteeing Ukrainian security. Designation of cartels as terrorist organizations fuels tension between Mexico and the U.S. ahead of Trump's inauguration, as Trump team resurfaces plans to designate Mexican cartels as terror organizations. Israeli attacks kill at least 80 in Gaza after ceasefire deal announced. Russia plotted terror attacks on airlines around the world, Poland's Tusk says. Trump advisors concede Ukraine peace deal is months away. U.S. sanctions Chinese and Kyrgyz firms supporting Russia's war in Ukraine.
Netanyahu expresses gratitude to Trump and Biden for their assistance in the Gaza hostage agreement, as reported by the Israel Prime Minister's office. Both Trump and Biden assert their roles in the Gaza ceasefire agreement, with Biden mentioning that Americans will be included among the hostages released and humorously declining to acknowledge Trump's contribution to finalizing the deal. Is that a joke? According to Reuters, the Trump team requests the resignation of 3 senior U.S. career diplomats, as indicated by sources. Musk is reportedly involved in efforts to secure the release of an Italian imprisoned in Iran. Aversive memories can be diminished during human sleep by reactivating positive interfering memories. Research indicates that consuming a daily glass of milk may reduce the risk of bowel cancer by 1/5. Studies suggest a connection between processed red meat and an increased risk of dementia. In the United States, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, documents indicate that the Biden administration's strategies might allow Trump an advantage in initiating deportations. The special counsel's concluding report asserts that Trump would have faced conviction for election interference had he not secured victory. A poll conducted by the Associated Press and NORC Center for Public Affairs reveals that a limited number of U.S. adults are trusting in the Justice Department and FBI's ability to act impartially under Trump's leadership.
Coca-Cola CEO offers Trump a commemorative Diet Coke bottle with an inauguration theme. TikTok CEO intends to be at Trump's inauguration, while former Presidents Obama, Clinton, and Bush will not join Trump for his inaugural lunch. According to a CNN poll, Biden departs office with his approval rating at its lowest point during his term, and a new poll indicates that Gaza was the top issue for Biden 2020 voters who did not support Harris. China has launched an investigation into U.S. chip grants and alleged dumping. Recently, the U.S. imposed blacklists on over 24 Chinese tech companies due to Huawei's use of TSMC chips in its System-on-Chip (SoC). Pete Hegseth, Trump's nominee for defense secretary, faced criticism after mistakenly referring to ASEAN as ASEAN, indicating he was unable to name the countries in the Southeast Asian bloc. Anduril, an AI military startup, is planning a $1 billion factory in Ohio.
Plants take in 31% more carbon dioxide than earlier thought. Research on fish from the Great Barrier Reef indicates changes in significant global biodiversity trends. A study reveals unexpected connections among bird species during migration, with migrating birds singing to collaborate with others. Google has secured carbon removal credits from Indian farms in a significant transaction. A lawsuit in New York City against Exxon, BP, and Shell regarding climate change has been dismissed. UK farmland is experiencing contamination from forever chemicals associated with cancers, with REF bases identified as hotspots for forever chemical groundwater pollution, according to MOD documents.
Coinbase plans to provide loans secured by Bitcoin through Morpho. eToro, a retail trading platform, is seeking a U.S. IPO with a target valuation of $5 billion. Crypto pension funds are experiencing significant growth, coinciding with a 130% increase in Bitcoin's price. The Biden administration plans to allow Trump to enforce the TikTok ban. It has been reported that TikTok users are shifting to the Chinese app Red Note, causing concern among Beijing censors, and discussions about selling a stake in Zaya Hongshu, a TikTok competitor, have valued it at $20 billion. In the EU, NOIB has submitted GDPR complaints against TikTok, AliExpress, SHN, Temu, WeChat, and Xiaomi for unauthorized data transfers to China.
Mistral partners with Agence France-Presse to provide current responses in Le Chat. Mark Zuckerberg compares Meta's AI approach to YouTube's copyright rules. Google's Gemini Deep Research now supports 40 languages. Trump, Musk dined with Microsoft CEO at Mar-a-Lago. Biden warns oligarchy is taking shape in America in farewell address, as Biden cites threat from extreme wealth in farewell address, and in final address, Biden warns of rise of tech industrial complex while outlining threats, challenges. German far-right co-leader to attend Trump inauguration, and Meloni only EU leader invited to Trump's inauguration.
Hong Kong's Jimmy Lai reportedly paid a former U.S. general to provide advice to the Taiwanese government, as stated in court. Additionally, Jimmy Lai acknowledged facilitating connections between Taiwan and former U.S. officials. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden has announced the extension of special status for Hong Kongers residing in the U.S. for an additional 2 years. Furthermore, a report indicates that Chinese hackers infiltrated over 400 Treasury Department computers.
A U.S. court has imposed a $100 million fine on BitMEX due to anti-money laundering (AML) violations. Meanwhile, Jack Dorsey's company, Block, has committed to providing refunds amounting to up to $120 million to address fraud issues with Cash App. Additionally, there are reports suggesting that online gambling has contributed to transnational crime in the Philippines. Vietnam's extensive bureaucratic reform includes the elimination of a major television broadcaster. Jimmy Donaldson's Beast Game sets a record as Prime Video's most-watched unscripted series. David Lynch, the visionary director behind Twin Peaks and Blue Velvet, passes away at the age of 78. FTC prohibits GM from sharing driving data to resolve allegations of selling data without consent. FTC files lawsuit against Greystar, accusing the property manager of using concealed fees to deceive renters out of millions. Rio Tinto and Glencore considered a merger, but discussions are now inactive, according to a source.
Nintendo's intellectual property manager acknowledges that an emulator itself is not inherently illegal, but its legality can change based on its usage. The Nintendo Switch 2 is scheduled for a 2025 release, with Mario Kart 9 being subtly announced alongside it. The Australian Open tennis tournament has substituted players with avatars reminiscent of Wii Sports to broadcast live matches, with these avatars aiding tennis in attracting a new audience.
FBI alerts agents to hackers stealing call logs, according to Bloomberg News. Victims of the PowerSchool data breach report that hackers took all historical student and teacher data. Chinese hackers infiltrated Yellen's computer during a U.S. Treasury breach. Malaysia's police chief orders officers to lose excess body fat. Infestation of drug-addicted rats prompting purge of backlogged Houston evidence room. As TikTok refugees flock to Red Note, a U.S. official says the Chinese app could be banned, too. India successfully completes its first space docking, joining the ranks of the fourth nation to reach this significant milestone. The European Space Agency's Gaia, which maps the Milky Way, has finished its sky scanning phase, accumulating over 3 trillion observations. During a flight test, SpaceX's Starship explodes, prompting airlines to reroute their flights. Apple launches online store app in India to extend focus beyond major cities. Let's Encrypt announces 6-day validity certificates. Adobe introduces Live co-editing feature to Photoshop, enabling creative collaborations. Germany plans to intercept drones in proximity to military installations. A Russian court sentences 3 attorneys representing the deceased Russian opposition figure Alexei Navalny to imprisonment. U.S. sanctions against Russia are impacting oil freight rates.
Biden admits he focused too much on policy and not enough on politics, criticizing red states for mishandling their economies during the COVID years. Trump's official portrait has been likened to a mugshot. A Fox News poll indicates Trump is at his peak popularity, while an AP NORC poll reveals many Americans are skeptical about his ability to reduce prices in his first year. Trump's nominee for Treasury Secretary opposes increasing the minimum wage. Additionally, Donald Trump's chosen Treasury official warns that reversing tax cuts could lead to an economic calamity, while emphasizing the significance of tax cuts for billionaires. Meanwhile, a Brazil court prevents Bolsonaro from attending Trump's inauguration. Furthermore, it is reportedly that Trump's threats of China tariffs are contributing to a manufacturing boom in Mexico.
Sudan's military has reportedly deployed chemical weapons on 2 occasions, according to U.S. officials. Meanwhile, Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan and his wife have been sentenced to imprisonment in a corruption case. Additionally, the Iranian president has made his way to Moscow to sign a treaty with President Putin, as reported by TASS.
In the United States, Democrats aim to prevent another transgender military ban initiated by Trump, with a House Democrat planning to introduce a bill opposing the ban. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has designated Mel Gibson, Sylvester Stallone, and Jon Voight as special envoys to Hollywood. In the United Kingdom, Ofcom has announced that pornography websites must verify the age of their visitors.
China reports a 5% economic growth last year, primarily fueled by exports. Meanwhile, China's population decreases for the 3rd consecutive year due to a declining birth rate. Additionally, China introduces the Crimson Skyblade in its pursuit of nuclear fusion for limitless clean energy. Lastly, China's Black Panther 2.0 robot dog achieves a speed of 100 meters in under 10 seconds. Live Nation organizes a Fire Aid benefit concert to support victims of the Los Angeles fires. Brian Eno, known for the Windows 95 startup sound, unveils a 20,000 pounds limited edition turntable 2 at the Paul Stolper Gallery. 90s superstar Aaliyah is celebrated with a Barbie doll on the anniversary of her 46th birthday. Spain revamps domestic violence system following criticism, with some noting Spain is implementing AI for domestic violence risk assessment and it's performing as predicted. Troubled Washington Post covertly preparing transition to AI-driven platform for news. Apple halts AI-generated news alert service following BBC dispute.
Egypt has discovered archaeological treasures at the funerary complex of Queen Hatshepsut. Iron Age DNA research indicates that women were the dominant force in pre-Roman Britain, with scientists uncovering a Celtic society where men relocated to join their bride's community. A jaw fossil found in China suggests the existence of a palm-sized cat that lived 300,000 years ago, potentially being the world's smallest cat. A remarkable sword from the 6th century, adorned with runes, was discovered in an Anglo-Saxon burial site close to Canterbury in Kent. Following a volcanic eruption, the ancient Danes presented sunstones to the deities in hopes of restoring the light, as it is believed that ancient societies may have carved sunstones to alleviate volcanic winter. The World Monuments Fund has included the moon among its list of sites at risk,